topic is, how do you build your village of support and community? This is some of it, and there's a lot of other things that we can do and will be doing to build that support. And they are the founders of Legacy Concierge Services. They've been senior care advocates for over 40 years combined, and helping families navigate the challenging world of senior services. And since first learning about them, I have heard amazing things about you both. So without further ado, Deanna and Molly.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. We always try to figure out how to do this when we're here. So we have a message for you, and we're thrilled to be here. Jeanette Perry, who I know is on your board, invited us, so we're thrilled to be welcomed. So today we're talking about how to build your village. So we're going to kind of introduce who we are and why this is a really important topic to us. As Peter mentioned, we founded Legacy Concierge Services. Next Saturday it will be 9 years, and we're thrilled about that. And one of the things that we know for certain is nobody can go through this journey alone. And it's really important to, in your mind, build your village, but really communicate your village too. So we're going to talk about that today. Oh, do you want me to stand over here? Yeah. Okay, sorry. I showered.
I'm like, I'm standing in the corner.
We're so on.
I know, it's a special day. So, all right.
Oh, here we go. All right, that's us.
That is us.
So a little bit about us. Back in 2016, Molly and I, we've been working together in the senior care industry for a really long time. And we realized that under the constraints of corporate America, we couldn't do the things that we really wanted to do for seniors and really to advocate for the caregivers and the person that needs the care. So back in 2016, we walked away from the man and said, we're gonna do this better. We set out with a wing and a prayer, and gratefully our husbands financed our venture, and we were able to do this. So we have actually now combined 50 years experience, so the older we get, it's getting a little bit more. But we have, in our community service, we serve on a lot of boards, so we're not just out helping families, and we are actually getting educated every single day. We are on a lot of boards, Alzheimer's Association, the County of Sonoma, and Petaluma People Services, so that's a larger service provider down in South County, I guess. And then this is all the areas we've worked. So we've worked in literally every one of these categories. We have been employed by every skilled nursing, assisted living, home health, adult day, in-home care. I run a care home, placement services. We've done quite a bit of things. So we feel that this is a good place to start is if you know someone that's actually done the work, those should be the people that you solicit for advice. And I'm not saying you have to do it for us, but just make sure that you're really looking to someone who's actually done the work to give you some advice around what you're looking for.
This is just a little bit of information about what we do. We do senior living placement, and we know a good friend of ours, Janelle, was here recently talking to you about that. But we also do care management. So we help people, this is a lot of what we do is we help people plan out the next years of life in terms of preparing for the what ifs or the when this is gonna happen. So we try to help prepare people by doing exactly what we're doing right now, which is sharing and talking about the resources that are local to our community and how they can benefit you and build your plan so when the what ifs and the whens happen, it's not going to catch you off guard, you're prepared. So we want you to be proactive rather than reactive, because we've seen through our career many times the consequence of being reactive could be quite costly. It also can cause some friction with family, some dysfunction with family because things haven't been communicated. So we want to really, that's kind of one of our stumping points, I guess, is that communication and understanding what services are out there, and also having an understanding of what's important to you, because what's important to me may not be important to you and vice versa. So it's important to understand what you want for yourself and then to be able to advocate and communicate that to your village. So while we're here, we want to recognize it's time to act. So this is the time. Everyone is in here, and you obviously know what community is about if you're part of this community right here. We want to help you elevate that to the next level. So we're going to try to identify some key resources that will help you. Also, we should have plenty of time for questions. So at the end, if you have questions, we definitely want you to be able to ask away. Be kind, but we definitely would want you to ask any questions so we can get as much information and resources to you as possible. And we do have a little worksheet that we put together. We'll pass it around so you can take it home and work on that. Yeah, you have it. We'll pass it around to everyone else. I don't know if we have enough copies. So impressed with how many people are here. This is awesome. So we can send Peter a copy of it. He can reach it out to everybody. But we did want to give you a kind of a worksheet to take home for homework, something to think about for your own community and start building that and sharing that with your family and with your circle.
All right. So what are we talking about? We're talking about building a village. So the village comes in many different shapes and forms. Right now, this is one piece of that village. And we want to expand that a little bit because a lot of people don't know where to start. They don't know who to turn to, where to go. You know, the internet is great, but sometimes you need a little bit more than just what Google will tell you. And we're gonna kind of break it down for you, like what does a village really look like?
So this is the circle that we created, and that's going to be on the form that you have. So this is kind of, you are in the center, and really it's so important that you take control of this village now, and you start to build your village so that someone else is not building it for you. And that's something we want to help. One of the things that's very important for us in terms of our values is dignity, and we think part of dignity is being able to have a voice, and then surrounding yourself with people who hear your voice. So you are the center of your village, and it's up to you to figure out who those people in your village and those support services are gonna be to help make sure your wishes and what you want is followed through with. It's so important. So the first circle is family and friends. So, and family and friends, we wanna make sure friends is in there because sometimes friends are more family than blood relations. So, and I think that that's really important, and that's okay. So it's important to be able to know that sometimes your friends are the ones that are gonna have your back, and maybe be the ones to listen, really hear you with what you want. So your network is your family and friends. You get to determine who that is. So that's up to you to figure out that. So I know for me, like when my husband and I, we did our trust, we do not have any kids, so we had to really be selective in terms of who our people are gonna be to help us make sure that our voice is being heard. And so you do really have to think about these things, whether you're 25 years old or 105 years old, all of that really matters.
Yeah, and we recommend 3 people, not 5, not 10. 3 people that are really gonna go to bat for you. When you are not able to go to bat for yourself, who are the 3 people that are gonna have your back? And someone that you can actually turn to, not only in time of crisis, but when things are going good. Who are those people to you? And to Molly's point, it may not be family. It could be your best friends. Just they got your back, they're always there, they're picking you up, they're taking you everywhere. Like, these are the people that you want in your corner to advocate for you.
All right, the next circle is our neighbors and community. So I know, just going personal again, when my parents, I think I was like 8 or 9, my parents did their first trust, and our neighbors were their people. They've all moved away, so they don't know each other anymore. But so this is something that evolves all the time. So you want to know who are the people that you can turn to outside of that inner circle of family and friends. Is it people who have a church, a support group. It could be your coworkers, whoever your network is. So you want to really think about who are the people within your own community that can help you. And even if you have questions, you know someone, all of you have something in common. Everyone in this room has something in common. You understand, you can relate to the journey that you're on, and it's a safe space to come to and say, this is my experience, what do I do next? Where do I turn to? And this is a safe space to do that. So you want to find that safe community that is going to support and hear you.
And so lastly, in the outer ring are your healthcare professionals, social and professional support. So identifying these in these three columns, we call them sort of rings, if you will, really, I mean, writing it down, the worksheet that we handed out is something, it's more for you to come up with some ideas or some names of people that you can identify that would actually be those three people, or three people in each category. The physicians, specialists, attorneys, therapists, they're on that outer ring. They're the ones that are going to take care of the tasks for you. They're important, but when you're looking at what's important to you, make sure that you're insulated from the professionals, because the professionals are great and they'll tell you what you need to hear and they'll tell you the medications, but that support is, I feel, it's on the surface. We feel it's on the surface. And anybody can talk to a physician about what's going on, but if you don't have those two inner pieces, I don't know, the third ring to us is, it's equally important, but it's not as important as the first two.
And the third ring is really where we step in with families. So this is where we try to help give information and resources for people who are navigating this journey, whatever the journey is that you're on. So this is where we kind of come in and talk about, we hear, oftentimes when we're working with families, we'll hear kind of the big picture, and then we start to pull back the layers of the onion and try to pinpoint specific services that are going to benefit and empower a family and an individual in their specific situation. I mean, one of the things is, the first thing we tell people when we hear that there was a recent Parkinson's diagnosis is we talk about Rocksteady. So that's one of the programs that we mentioned. We love that program. It's amazing. The people who run the program in Petaluma are friends of ours, and a lot of families don't know about it. And it's so important. And you mentioned too, Peter, like the Lewy bodies. That's something that's really important too. We often will encourage, if we hear that there might be some cognitive issues happening, we'll often refer to the Alzheimer's Association, because they have Lewy body support groups, and there's other groups that you guys are affiliated with it too, it sounds like. So these are things that oftentimes, because we live our life every day, we kind of go about our thing, we go to the store, we have, whatever, we go on vacations, but then all of a sudden something comes up in front of us, like Parkinson's, and what do we do? Where do we go? How do we start this process? Who do we turn to? So all these questions come up, and oftentimes, I would say 95% of the people that we work with have a plan for it, because it's not something that's in front of you necessarily. So, that is our role oftentimes, is to try to get some of these support services in front of you so that you are able to, with dignity, choose to stay in your home, with dignity choose to go into one of the communities here, like one of the senior living communities, but it gives you the option to make these choices. And so as we go through this journey with each person that we work with, it's really important that it's very individualized. And so it's important to take the time. This is great. This is a great place to come and listen. This is a very surface conversation, and it's really up to you to go home and really start thinking about what's next. What is important to me? What are my values? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be with me and take care of me or support me? These things are all so important. And this is a starting point for a lot of people, but I have a feeling a lot of you have started some of this since you're in this community right here.
Okay, So we wanted to expand a little bit on the professionals. So Molly kind of touched on some of the professionals. Folks like us, we're advocates. We consider ourselves care managers. So what that looks like is you tell us what's going on and we kind of pull it all apart and put it together back like a puzzle. But in that, with the health support, all of the folks that are in all three of these categories are gonna be crucial to the success of what you want. And to Molly's point, having this planned out now gives you dignity when the time comes when decisions need to be made. And if you don't have a voice, then this is your voice. So having all of these folks on your team, and if they're not on your team, they should be on your team, to know exactly what you want when the time comes that you need to make this. Crisis is not a time. Typically, I would say about 90% of the clients that we get are in crisis. They did not plan for this. They are in the hospital and the caregiver calls and says, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to turn. And the person that needs the care is gonna get what they get because there was no plan. So having these, well, all the pieces, but especially these pieces in place, and if every one of these folks know exactly where you're coming from, there should be no question that when it comes time to make a decision, your decisions are already made.
Right, I mean, I have a funny story. I have a client down in the South Bay. She's 99 years old. She lives independently at home, and her family has just now decided maybe we should plan for something, we should plan ahead in case something happens to mom. So we're in the planning process. So it's never too late to make that happen, but it's just so important because in that particular situation, the family, there's 6 kids all across the United States, and they need to make sure that they can speak on behalf of their mom and also not get in a fight. Because they actually all like each other right now, and they want to keep it that way. So that's why this stuff is very, very important. But yeah, I think one of the big ones too is social support. I think we often forget about how, we look at medical support, we maybe have in-home care, we have the Rock Steady program, we have these support groups. That social support is so important too. So social isolation is part of, I think it's it's a big disease that we have in our community, and ever since COVID too, that social isolation is something that has a big impact on people. So remember, as part of this whole process, to make sure that social support is in place, even if it's just one person, that's one person that sees you, and that's really, really important.
So going forward, looking at care, looking at your future, there's 2 buckets, right, of where the when, not the if, but the when. So when it comes time, and that comes for all of us, what do you want? Again, this is communication, so you're communicating this. But you have 2 choices. Do you want to stay in your home? 99% say yes, and I don't even know if 1% say they want to go to assisted living. We haven't helped anybody that's coming with, pom-poms going into assisted living. But if you are thinking in the home care and staying at home, really at this point, the home care agencies are the companies that you are gonna wanna start talking to. You may not need them now, or find out if there's some of your friends have used a home care agency, and we do recommend agencies versus private caregivers, just for safety reasons. But what does that look like when you're at home? How are these needs gonna be met? So if you have a home care agency involved, do you want them to help with meals? Do you need transportation? Do you need help with your activities of daily living? That acronym is thrown around a lot, but it's bathing, grooming, dressing, ambulating. Do you want that to happen at home? And if you do, can that home care company actually provide those services? This is not a conversation to have when you're in the hospital. This is a conversation to have with somebody now, so you have that, you could put their name on the refrigerator, a little magnet. Home health, that is a service that comes out of the hospital. Typically, it's physical occupational therapy. Again, that can come home with you. Do you know what that looks like? Do you even know to advocate for that if you're coming out of the hospital and you're having troubles? Most people don't know to advocate for that, and hospitals are not going to offer that up. Adult daycare, so with in-home care, adult daycare is a huge component. That is the outside service. So if you want to stay at home, but you want that social support, you want to be with other people, the adult daycare programs in your communities are phenomenal. And Sonoma County has the most amazing adult daycare programs that I've seen. And then the healthcare as well. So you want to talk about?
Sure, and I think you guys have talked a little bit about relocation. So I think the one big thing I wanted to touch on is just skilled nursing is if you are in a situation where you are in the hospital and you're required to go into a skilled nursing for rehab for a short amount of time, what might be a fractured shoulder or a fractured hip or something that has happened that you need to go to skilled nursing. It's important to understand Medicare. Medicare guides this whole process. Oftentimes it's important to understand what your insurance is. There's advantage programs. Sometimes I've heard them referred to as disadvantage programs. So because they're sometimes can be limiting, but if you have Kaiser does things their own way also. So it's important to understand if you go into a skilled nursing, your Medicare, it will cover up to 20 days of services if you are thriving. One of the key words that you're going to hear about in skilled nursing is plateau. If you are requiring physical or occupational therapy or speech therapy, they want to be able to see that you're still making progression with those services. If a person hits a point where they have plateaued, where they're no longer progressing with those services, it may be time that's when you're probably going to look at either going back home or into a community type setting. So it's important to understand what your Medicare offers you, as well as if you have a supplemental insurance. Also, if you have Kaiser, it's important to understand Kaiser because certain places in our community in Sonoma County are licensed, or not licensed, but they're contracted with Kaiser. So not all skilled nursings serve Kaiser patients. So that's an important thing to know about that. So.
Yeah. And then assisted living and boarding cares, those names get tossed around a lot. Assisted livings are both the big buildings and the small little homes with 6 people in them. So boarding care gets thrown around a lot. It is essentially the same thing if you're looking at assisted livings. So if someone says boarding care, and you don't know what the heck they're talking about, it's an assisted living that's actually in somebody's home. And that's another housing option, and that is a private pay situation. We'll get into that a little bit later on that.
So these are some of the services I don't know if you guys are able to see this, but we put in color kind of how things are paid, because oftentimes we get asked, does Medicare cover that? How do we pay for this? Who pays for this? These are important questions. I just had a family we talked with yesterday, and mom just went into a skilled nursing home, and we're already preparing about when she goes home, how do we do this? And so we had to talk about all these things about how are things paid for. So it's very important to know in-home care. We just kind of talked about. So in-home care is private pay. If you have long-term care insurance, congratulations, you're brilliant. You're very fortunate. Long-term care insurance will help pay for some of this. And if you're a veteran, there are some veteran services that are available, including supplementing payment for some services. It's based on income. It's income-based, but it's certainly worth looking into. If you are a veteran or a widow or widower of a veteran, it's certainly worth looking into, because some of the services that veterans provides are fantastic, and hopefully they stay fantastic. So that's important. And then we also have Medi-Cal, which is a state. Medicaid is a national program. Medi-Cal is California-based program that we hope we have too. So this is, I don't know how this chart may look in a year from now, so we'll see what happens. But it's important to know and understand, how things are paid for, because sometimes families have to take on some responsibility to help supplement. Sometimes families are not willing to do that, and so you have to be prepared to understand what those services are and how they're going to be covered.
Yeah, and to circle back on the professional ring, on the outer ring, having a financial planner in that ring is very important as well, because a lot of these, the places that people want to go are private pay. And that can cost upwards, if it's assisted living, maybe $10,000 a month. I mean, that's on average. Home care, they're at about $50 an hour. So in that ring, if you have a financial planner that you can talk to, let them know what you're thinking, and is that realistic? And if it's not, then that's a conversation to have about what insurance will pay for.
So these are some of the services locally that we wanted to share with you guys. If you want to talk about the first,
Yeah.
that's your.
Sure. So Dawn and I both serve at the county level for the Commission on the Area Agency on Aging. And what that does is we are commissioners that sit on the board. We are represented by our district, so I'm District 2, so I'm South County. But we bring forth problems and things that we hear out in our community to the county and to the people that actually can make decisions and actually can hear us and where the funding needs to go. So gratefully, they listen as best as they can, and they are allocating money to services, to senior services that are at no cost. A lot of people don't know this, so we wanted to bring that to your attention. So the Adult and Aging Division created a master plan on aging, and I don't know if you guys have heard this. It was in the press. They had a big event. The master plan on aging is it's mimicking the California master plan on aging. So ours is a little more local. It's at the Sonoma County level, but they are really breaking out each part of services that need to be addressed for seniors: transportation, housing, caregiving. All the things. There's 6 of them. Or half time, I can't do them, but that master plan right now, they've got a big magnifying glass on what is going on or what is not going on in Sonoma County. And they're really trying to figure out how can these services get to the folks in Sonoma County, get the word out, so everybody can take advantage of these programs. These programs are out there, but nobody knows about them. And that is a big disservice that I think the county doesn't get this information out to people. So myself, Dawn, we sit on these boards so we can get this information out. And part of that is nutrition. That was another one, nutrition. So if you are looking for services around nutrition, county has it. Meals on Wheels, that's the biggest one. That is both in South County, I call South County, sorry, Petaluma area, Santa Rosa, North County, so Cloverdale, Healdsburg area. There is food services if you choose that you want to stay at home and a food is kind of a hot point where you're not getting the nutrition that you need. That service is there. There is a Aging and Disability Resource Hub that is online. You can go to the county website. In there has an entire directory of all of the services in Sonoma County. 90% of them are free services. There are some paid for services in this directory, but I highly recommend going there. Make this part of your village project, is really finding out what services are out there, and make sure if you don't know what they are, call them up and ask them, and they'll tell you exactly what it is and how to get it. So in-home support services is that home care component, and if you're not familiar with that, that is a home care service that is paid for by Medi-Cal. If you are eligible for that, you can get home care paid for by Medi-Cal. So again, $50 an hour versus I think on average it's costing about $15 an hour if you go through the Medi-Cal program. Veteran services that the VA offices up off of the airport, please tap into them. In addition to all of this, they have even more services if you are a veteran. And Linkages program is a case management program. So if there are more services that you need in the house, and you can call them today. You don't have to wait, you can call them today, find out what they have. They have a social worker that will actually come to the home and kind of just like we do, pull it apart. Like, what are the things you need? Put that puzzle back together and really help you figure out what you need, and then the county services that can support that. And then the 565 info, if you remember nothing else, remember that number. It's super easy. That will get you right into a social worker, and they will get you started with all of this stuff. If this is a little overwhelming and you don't want to go to the hub that's got 1,000 pages, call that number and they will get you the information that you need and connect you with support services.
The case manager answers that phone, right?
Social worker.
Social worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are phenomenal programs. And the next one we want to talk about is Age Well, which is a relatively new program in Sonoma County. We've been fighting to have, it's called a PACE program. It's a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. It is a not-for-profit program. It's the one we have here in Sonoma County is in Rohnert Park. They provide transportation. It's an all-inclusive service that offers adult day programming, as well as a doctor, nursing, in-home care, home-delivered meals, physical and occupational and speech therapy on site at their day program, as well as medications. I worked for the PACE program in Sacramento for 5 years. It was, for me, one of the best experiences of my career, and that was when I first started my career back in 1995, and so a long time ago. But it is, to me, one of the most incredible programs, and we could not be happier to have a PACE program. It helps people. The goal of that program is to help people stay in their home with comprehensive, inclusive services. Alzheimer's Association, it's a fantastic resource, one that goes under tap. People often don't realize that that's there, and they do have a Lewy Bodies support group within them. They're fantastic. We both are part of the executive committee for their annual Walk to End Alzheimer's. Hi, oops, I'm sorry, someone had a question.
Do you have a copy of those resources?
We can get you one.
Okay.
Yeah, we can send it here. Can we send it to you and you send it out?
Yes.
Yeah, we will definitely. So we don't expect you to memorize this. So especially on a weekend, sometimes I don't remember my own name. So we'll make sure you get that. Thank you for asking. The big one I want to mention is HICAP. We talked a little bit about some of the Medicare, if you have to go to skilled nursing, or if you have home health like physical therapy. HICAP is a free service in the state of California that will help you review your Medicare benefits as well as your supplemental insurance. It's a free service for California residents. It is a great program. It's underutilized, and it's something I definitely recommend you tap into, just because you can talk to a counselor and they'll walk you through all of the services and benefits that you have with your Medicare and your supplemental. They also wanted to recommend the Redwood Caregiver Resource Center here locally. Yeah, thumbs up. So California, we have, I see bunches of thumbs ups. Okay, cool. So we got the right ones. So California, we're very fortunate in California. We have caregiver resource centers throughout the state of California. For Sonoma County and North, Redwood Caregiver Resource Center it represents us, and they provide grants, they provide legal services, they will help with respite. So it's a great program. We strongly recommend you have them in your phone book and get to know their services. They're also very involved with area agency, and they're frequently in the audience. So they're also very tapped into the community. They have social workers that are available to help people as well. They're a phenomenal program.
Underutilized program.
Yeah, a lot of these services I think are very underutilized, and so I think for us, the more we can get this information out to our community, the better served everybody is. It creates a more healthy community in terms of utilizing resources that meet what you need for yourself, and that's part of the dignity thing that we're talking about. So all of these services can help you meet your goals and understand the services that will support that.
That's it.
Is there another one?
Oh, is there? Oh.
Oh, yeah. We thought this was kind of funny. We have a bad sense of humor, so but we talked a lot and shared a lot of information, so we wanted to tell you it's okay if you have to say you're out of order right now. We get it. So But we thank you for the opportunity. We hope we gave you some information, and most importantly, we hope we empowered you to take ownership of your path and understand the services that are, the amazing services that are in our community that are available to you. And if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer questions too. Oh, okay, perfect.
Who's got a question?
Can I sit next to you now? Yeah. Okay. I'm just like, sorry.
Thank you, ladies. You close with the least utilized services. What is the next 2 or 3 very, very underutilized services you would recommend?
I would say, well, back in that slide, I think the linkages program is very underutilized because it does have a case management component, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. So I definitely think that's one of them. What do you think the other one is?
Veteran,
Yeah.
the veteran services. We hear all the time that nobody knows where the building is, who to talk to, I mean, I think if you're a veteran, you deserve to have the services that are out there. The office is off Airport on Westwind. You can walk into there and there are folks there. There are social workers and case workers there that will walk you through the process, anything you need that the veterans provide. Please reach out to them. I can't tell you how many people have come up to us. We've had to tell them about the veteran services that are actually services that are earned if you are a veteran that served during a wartime, and most people don't know about it. And you're talking, sometimes it could be upwards of $2,000 to $3,000 a month in services that you are not aware of.
Do you want to tell people you can go to the town area agency?
Oh, yeah. And another thing too, I kind of touched on that I am part of the commission for the Area Agency on Aging. Once a month, we meet, there's all the representatives from all the districts sitting at the table, and we have I guess he's the manager of the whole Area Agency on Aging, and we sit at a table and we talk about the issues that are going on, what had happened last month, what's happening this month, and there are people, and we invite the public to come. It's an open meeting. If you have any questions, or you just want to hear what's going on out in the community around senior services, or legislation that's coming down the pike, or anything that's happening at the Capitol that it's not really well known yet, but it's in the works, that is a place to come. You can go on the website, again, the Area Agency on Aging for Sonoma County, and you can see when our meetings are, but highly recommend you sit there and listen to what's going on if you've got the time.
The other thing about being able to go to those meetings, if you can, as an advocate, is to share your experiences. Share what's not happening, what areas that you're not getting support on, because that's how PACE program showed up in Sonoma County, is that people said we need more of. And so it's important to be able, because you share your experience that they can hear and listen and figure out how do we bring these services and resources to our community and support.
Thank you, Dawn. If you have any questions about the hub or any of the services of the county, this QR code, you can scan it here. Dawn, thank you for bringing those. Or Dawn's got some extras if you want to grab a few. This will get you dialed into what's going on in the county.
Hi. I did have, in the spirit of sharing,
Yes.
as you had mentioned, 2 things came to my mind. On the veteran services, I think it's important that people understand it's not just the veteran that is available for benefits.
Yes.
Surviving spousal benefits can be phenomenal.
Yes.
Been through the process for my mother-in-law. And the other thing we learned during her episodes of things, and you may touch on it, I might have missed it, but is 72-hour qualifying stay for,
Oh, yes.
which can totally throw your care plan
Yes.
out of whack.
So this is something big. So she mentioned the 72-hour stay and then being admitted into a hospital. So Deanna and I both worked in a skilled nursing, and I was the admissions person and she was the social worker / discharge planner. And one of the things that's really important, if you go into a hospital, there are 2 ways that you're in the hospital. You're either in under observation or you've been admitted. And the Medicare guidelines state that to receive services like a skilled nursing therapy services, like with skilled nursing, you have to have been admitted in a hospital for a minimum of 72 hours. Usually that means 3 nights. So, and that's really important. So if you ever do go to the hospital or a loved one goes to the hospital, it's very important to ask the question, is my loved one or am I admitted into the hospital? Because if it's under observation, that does not count towards that 72 hours. And that's a really critical part of receiving care after the hospital. So that was a great question. And in fact, we just had, when our clients, when they do go to the hospital, we often make sure that they're asking those questions. And usually the social workers or the discharge planners are very surprised that a family would ask that question. But it's really important to be empowered with that information because you do deserve to have those services, but sometimes they play tricky things.
Well, just to add on to that, we learned the hard way. My mother-in-law was admitted, and after 26 years of volunteer service at Queen of the Valley in Napa, 2 hours prior to her qualifying, the family showed up and they said, "We're discharging her, take it." And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law didn't know any different.
Yeah.
They took her and then tried to get her in rehab. So just to follow up with that point, I got a million of it.
Yeah.
She's 101 and in skilled nursing. I could share lots of stories, but I won't.
Yeah, well, and I mean, there's a lot of different parameters that go into that. The other thing too is if you're in a skilled nursing and you are discharged home and you realize, I think I left a little too early, there is a 30-day window where you can go back to the skilled nursing through Medicare services. So there are definitely rules, and they're often in, they'll review some of that information in the skilled nursing, but you don't listen to it because you're medicated, you're stressed out, you want to know how am I going to get out of here, and you're worried about your family or your friends also coming and visiting. So you're not hearing and taking all the information in. So it's important to have that information. That's why HICAP is a great place to connect with, so you understand what those services and benefits are through your Medicare, and Kaiser as well.
I actually have a question for you about your first slide and the handout. That core group of people, whether it's your neighbors or your family, one of the challenges in this community is there are times when there are emergencies. Those are easy. The much bigger problem, as I see it, is how do I keep asking for help? You know, we lean on people for maybe years.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, when am I being too much of a burden? How do I manage that dynamic?
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's boundaries, right? So, back to your people. So you're 3 people. I always say 3, I think that's a digestible number. There's people in your corner that you can absolutely ask over and over and over and over again. If you don't have that person, then, I mean, unfortunately that could be the case, but there are people that put up some boundaries around that too. So having that conversation and asking what those boundaries are to the people that you're asking the services from, that's a very valid conversation. You know, I mean, you may assume that they want to pick you up every single day, and they may do it for a while and they feel bad about telling you no. But if you have that conversation up front and ask, what are you able to do for me right up front, I think that will take a lot of that out.
That's a great answer. I appreciate that.
Can I add just one? Can I just add one real quick? The other thing is with communicating with their 3 people or however many people they are, is create a tag team. It's okay if you are, it's okay to tell someone it's okay to take a time out for a moment, and that way you have those 3 or 4 people that you can tag it or tap into, so that burnout doesn't happen or that guilt doesn't become overwhelming. But I think that's an important thing, and everyone needs to know who those other 3 people are, so that you all can communicate with each other, so that you can say, I need to take a time out, and that's okay. It's okay.
I wanted to tell you about the Age Well PACE program. My husband and I have belonged there for the last year, and it's been a center in Roanoke Park 2 days a week, and we get to have a meal and socialize and play bingo and get to see a doctor or a nurse or receive care with no advanced waiting periods. And it's been incredible. They have 24-hour support, and the staff greets you when you get there by name, and we have fitness classes, and we go and get physical therapy and everything there. And we have given up our car, and so they pick us up at the house and take us shopping and to the doctor when we are referred out, and they do drop off supplies at our house and give us food. So it's been a miracle for us, and we live out in Forestville, so we're far from most things. And so I'd love to talk to anybody who has questions about what's available, so you could support this group, because they have only been here 1 year, but they have this program many places. Okay. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. That was a beautiful testimony. We were standing here, we both got chills.
Is that program open to anybody?
It is, there are some income, there might be a share of cost or something depending individually, but they have community outreach, people that will walk you through that whole process. They're phenomenal.
When would we, or family, call on your services, and exactly what services do folks?
So anytime, we prefer earlier than later. Our soapbox is please plan now, because that way you have a choice. There's dignity, and we'll walk you through all of the, everything that is out there, we can help walk you through. So, we can, I feel bad pitching us, but really what we do is we will look at what your situation is, and you tell us what you want, and we pull it apart piece by piece, and we'll give you recommendations to put the whole plan together, is essentially what we do. And anytime, we have a free consultation, so if you want to take advantage of that, we're happy to talk to anybody, because we just want this information to get out there. We want you to be empowered to have your future in the next 6 months, a year, 5 years. Like, looking out that far is really important, both with what's going on with you health-wise, but financially as well, and what those projected costs could look like, so.
My question has to do with semantics, really. And it's the definition of the word veterans, because my husband was satisfied his military obligation in the U.S. Public Health Service. And so when you're speaking of veteran services, I wonder if he falls under that category as having served in the Public Health Service.
Yeah. So it depends on the service, so definitely talk to the VA about the eligibility. They'll be able to pull, his discharge records or social, and they'll be able to walk you through that. When it comes to, I think you had touched on the surviving spouse, there's a benefit for assisted living. And those qualifications is you would need to be active military during a declared wartime. So each program has their own parameters that you qualify for, way beyond my pay grade. So if you have questions, definitely call the VA and have them pull his records and see what he's eligible for. Yeah, yeah.
Where are we?
So semantics are important.
Two more questions if we have time for it.
Yes.
All right.
Meet me in the middle.
I'm looking at the Spark the Night brochure, and I might have missed this, but is there anybody here who's not a PD Avenger? This is supported by the PD Avengers.
What is that?
The PD Avengers is our national community. Larry Giffords is the chairperson, and if you haven't joined, get online, go to PD Avengers, it's really easy, and it'll make a difference. Oh my God. Research money especially is one of their focuses in Washington, D.C., and they've already made a difference. And the more names that are on their list, the more likely we'll get more research money.
Good. Thank you, we just learned something too. So we'll have to look it up, thank you.
Anybody else?
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And
Yeah.
Great talk, really appreciate it.
Yeah.